that's the problem.
I think,
oh yeah, and one part of the program, part of the thing that we have a problem getting past DEC is identifying deposition areas to be harvested like we used to downtown Tripper, you know, there was areas that used to be, you know, routinely, you know, I hate to say dredging because it's really not dredging. We harvest the gravel, which you know what to do with. But now it's becoming more open to that because that is a problem.
It's because years ago we were able to do it and they stopped us.
And, you know, in some places, if it's not done properly, it creates more of a problem than.
They had control of it.
Yeah.
They had control of it. Paul, I'd like to try to explain what's going on here, and I can see the frustration of the people in the audience. I was floodplain administrator for 10 years. We got no satisfaction from anyone to clean our creeks, to clean trees, to clean gravel buildup, to clean sediment, nothing. And this is what was a result of their neglect, meaning the DEP and DEC. They were unable to help us. They didn't want to help us. We were under the impression that there was some type of reason for it. We didn't know. We used to have the permit process where the contractors could go in, clear out the stream, mitigate any situation that might be a potential problem, sell the gravel at a reduced rate to somebody who lived in the floodplain to help build some barriers possibly or some walls, and all of a sudden they pulled that away from us, and this is what we're living with now. This is the result of it. So you can understand the anxiety of all of these people that fought for 15 and 20 years and got nowhere. Got into the bureaucratic red tape and just, you know, ran into these problems.
right.
So,
Well, again, this is great information that we're taking notes on and dredging. Yeah, this is part of the process, my friends, is to get your input. This is part of the requirements for the plan to us be at these public meetings. Listen, throw out the survey that's online. Get the input from you guys about the issues and the problems. And I totally get it. You know, heated, I understand. I work with flood victims. I call them flood victims in New Jersey, New York as well. And I see the frustration. People, their homes destroyed, washed away off the foundations. And I get it. And I got thick skin. I got no problem with that. So, and I appreciate that.
Right, and as Eric said, you know, we're trying to get more detail. The Ulster County plan, I think, had 6 mitigation projects, and I think they were generally flood control. This plan is going to have more specific projects, okay? And not only are the projects flood control, what they might be specific property focused projects, you know, that might be elevations or buyouts or education. I know in the survey already, people are saying, tell us what to do, tell us how to do it, give us support so we know how to mitigate our homes. Yeah, and some people are talking, they want warning, more, you know, flood notification and warning and so forth, you know, and that's all part of this plan. And either they might be actions or they'll be implemented in your flood warning and response plan. So I think we're moving in the right direction. And I think that it's really a step forward. And I think your town officials were very wise to try to get something focused and detailed, you know, for you. And certainly, we're moving forward, I think. Did you? Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we get into committee reports, I've had the upcoming town board topics and activities for the month of February and also the week of 2/1. I'll read those. Personnel. Last week, the town was forced to suspend an employee without pay. During a review of finances within the highway department, discrepancies were discovered at both the highway superintendent and town supervisor questioned. The information was delivered to the New York State Police in Hurley, and pending the outcome of their investigation with the New York State Controller's Office, we cannot at this time divulge any further information regarding this matter. There are several duties handled by that employee which now must be picked up by other employees within the town employ. Sue Christiana, for the interim, will move to the Highway Superintendent's Office and additionally handle the duties of the Phoenicia Water District. Bookkeeper. Adding to her duties as billing clerk for that district, Diane O'Donnell in the Supervisor's Office will primarily handle the health care and retirement systems for town employees with assistance from Sue Christiana. The resolutions tonight reflect a small increase in compensation for both employees for managing these responsibilities. Highway. Last Wednesday, a wire on one of the town highway trucks shorted out and started a fire in the engine compartment of a large dump truck not being used for plowing. The combination of salt, sand, and moisture frequently contributes to wear on the casings of engine wires, causing shorts. The fire spread to 2 other trucks on either side of the original vehicle. Let us make it clear that this occurrence was completely unrelated to any other issue within the highway department. Claims that have been placed with the insurance company, and we hope to replace these vehicles over the coming months. Legal. We have 2 resolutions tonight hiring Jakubowicz and Gubitz LLC from Walden to represent the town in 2 lawsuits we currently face. They came highly recommended by Paul Keller, our town attorney, and specialize in zoning and planning duties. The first is the Hanover Farms lawsuit against the town. Lawyers for Hanover and others involved in the case claimed a conflict of interest after the town was recently informed that, contrary to previous representations, town board member Higley is a shareholder in the business. In addition, the town's ZBA and planning boards recently received a suit filed by neighbors of the Phoenicia Library building on Main Street in Phoenicia. Due to personal familiarity with parties on both sides of this argument, Paul was uncomfortable handling this case, so we also hired the same firm to defend the town in this suit. Gun control. We have a memorializing resolution tonight supporting the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. There have been a lot of firearms regulatory control measures discussed and implemented recently that members of our community feel infringe on rights they are entitled to under the framework of the U.S. Constitution, namely the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. We are sure to hear a few comments concerning this resolution, and we look forward to hearing logical, concise, and respectful discussion on this before being put up for a vote. If there are a large number of comments on this matter, the town board may request a time limit for comments. This is a very important issue to a number of citizens for a variety of reasons. We have been very good at listening to one another these past few years, and the town board asks that you help us to continue that trend and not speak unless directly addressing the board once recognized. Safari, we just finished that there. Pretty much redundant here with personnel.
Yeah, so it's legal things.
Seems to be some points. Everybody could pick this up from the front board. I don't think so.
Well, it's pretty much what we already thought.
Yes. Yeah, Eric, in highways in need of item 4, as we used all item 4 due an Irene response from the previous gravel crushing work. We also need to establish the official standard workday for the town. This is used by the New York State retirement system to calculate time accrued for retirement. Most employees are considered full-time after 35 hours per week, 7 hours a day, except highway and police, which under contract are 40 hours per week, 8 hours a day. Which covers that. If I can go on to committee reports. Ambulance. Yes, please.
Good evening. There's a lot of information tonight. Try to be concise as possible. January 2013 report, Town Shandaken ambulance, total calls received 52, total calls Bel Air 24, mutual aid given 3 to the town of Baldwin, and mutual aid received 3. One of the simplest things that you can do to protect yourself and others is to conspicuously post your address number at the front of your home or business. You'd be shocked at the number of calls service your local emergency responders respond to where precious minutes are wasted trying to locate a residence that's improperly marked. It's the property owner's responsibility to clearly mark their property, and International Fire Code requires all residential and commercial properties to have proper address numbers. Some municipalities have their own criteria above and beyond the code. The International Code requires that Address numbers be placed in a position that's plainly legible and visible from the street or road fronting the property. Address numbers shall contrast with the background. Letters and numbers shall be Arabic numerals or alphabet letters. And numbers and letters shall have a minimum of 4 inches high with a minimum stroke of 1/2 inch. Now, I think there's a little wiggle room in there, but anyhow, address numbers should be posted in a conspicuous place over or near the main entrance or on a mailbox. The entrance can't be seen easily from the nearest adjoining street. Address numbers should be placed in another conspicuous place on the house or building so that address numbers can be easily seen from the nearest adjoining street. If the home can't be easily seen from the address numbers must be placed on a portion of the property that is clearly visible and close to the street. Numbers should either be illuminated during periods of darkness or reflective so they can be seen at night. If you share a private driveway with several homes, post all house numbers at the entrance to the driveway, and be sure to post numbers at the front entrance to each home. The road splits off into different directions. Post a directional sign to indicate where each address is located. You can buy address numbers at any home improvement or hardware store. Many sign companies listed in the phone book have sources for homes, businesses, business address numbers. For those tech-savvy folks out there, or for those of you that are attending town computer classes, sources like eBay and utilizing a search engine like Google or Yahoo will point you in the right direction. Following these steps will ensure that the precious minutes during an emergency will be spent where they're supposed to be spent, taking care of you. So we also have mileage report and a couple examples of some decent signs or number plaques on mailbox and also a picture showing what one of the actual green reflective number signs looks like at night. We have a couple color ones up there. But very, very important, we've seen a prevalence of these calls, these issues hitting as of lately. So anyhow, and we also have our year-end report for the Town of Shandaken ambulance for 2012. Total calls received were 473, total calls Bel Air 62. Total mutual aid given was 8, total mutual aid received was 9. The 473 calls answered in far more than half receiving an ambulance under the gold standard of 8 minutes and 59 seconds set by the Commission on Accreditation of Ambulance Services. The Town of Shandaken Ambulance Service yet again delivered a standard of care to the citizens and the visitors of the town that is only surpassed by a choice few comparable services in the nation. An interesting note is that, albeit we were just shy of last year's call total, the severity of cases treated by the Town of Shandaken Ambulance was far higher than years before, with over 65% requiring advanced life support or paramedic level care. Lives were saved, babies were born, and disasters, big and small, were handled with the utmost degree of hospital care. However, as we all know, prevention, education, and thinking outside of the box are things that are an equally important part of delivering emergency medical services. The year 2012 saw a push for enhanced communications and technology on many levels. One that made one of the largest impacts was the successful compilation of network extender sites from individuals and businesses townwide for transmission of electrocardiographs during life-threatening cardiac events. This has been used multiple times and will continue to serve as a stopgap measure until we finally receive reliable cellular service in town. Continued safety and public education / prevention initiatives such as final life distribution, community outreach events, regularly updated content on the ambulance website, and even a safety column in an online newspaper continue to keep citizens informed and aware, and will continue for the foreseeable future. Few individuals and organizations recognize the overall dedication and professionalism of the organization, resulting in our ambulance service being awarded the Ulster County Ambulance Agency of the Year Award, as well as our Captain Administrator receiving the Area Order EMS Leadership Award. These awards were also presented to the agency on a regional level, beating out more than 80 different agencies in the 5-county region. Unfortunately, we did not win the overall state award, but we did win the annual Shandaken Cup Tug of War with a little help from our friends in the Hill. I think the Hill helped out better. Speaking of help from our friends, this year saw a much-needed replacement of our second paramedic vehicle with a newer Dodge Durango, thanks to phenomenal folks at Timberlake Foundation. Across the vehicle, and all labor to convert the vehicle to be response-ready was donated, equating to zero cost to the taxpayer of the town. Other substantial donations from folks near and far helped acquire additional equipment that the ambulance equipment line couldn't swing, and for that we and our patients who directly benefit from it are eternally grateful. On behalf of the Town of Shandaken Ambulance, I would like to thank the town board, officials, and most of all, the town of Shandaken residents that supported our efforts in 2012. It is the promise of the town of Shandaken Ambulance Service that we shall exercise diligence in our commitment to care for the citizens and visitors we provide our services to in the year 2013 and beyond. Thank you.
I would like to respond to this, if I may.
May.
I think if you're thinking outside the box, you have to consider how old your box is. In 1975, I came up with an idea called Curb Glow. And Curb Glow is in Westchester, Chappaqua, New York, in Westchester. And I came up with this idea to spray paint house numbers on the curbs that glowed, so that when fire departments or anyone that needed to respond, they could see a house number very clearly. So thinking outside the box is great, unless your box is so antiquated you haven't been thinking for eons. So I think it's a great idea that each house should have a really glowing number so it can be seen by first responders. But this is not a new idea. This is, like I said, I came up with this idea in 1975, Curb Glow. And we made a lot of money going around to the neighborhood and spraying with reflective paint on the curb their house number. So this is an ancient idea, and we're still not up to this idea in our town. So this should give us some idea how behind the times we are.
Thank you.
Not only, okay,
Thanks
so
for your comment. And I think,
so I think it's a good idea.
I think Rich Smallville could comment on that.
It is a great idea. It is great. Unfortunately, and there are other municipalities in the area that have been doing it, more so down towards Westchester in the city, that have been doing that for a very long time. The issue that you run into with lettering on curbs is that naturally individuals park next to curbs.
Well, we don't have curbs, for one.
Well,
I'm doing erosion on a curb. So
in the
we
Hamlet.
had numbers that glowed in the dark. That would be great.
Oh yeah, it would be phenomenal. In the hamlets, that could work, but,
So we don't have curb cuts. So you have to understand your market, and you have to come up with an idea that suits your market. And our market is no curbs, so we need something that can alert, whether it's on the telephone pole. We can, they have, we have cellular activated things with numbers. It's not very expensive. But the people to activate on this are not the adults, because we are way too antiquated and stupid. But the kids can go out and do this. And they're so excited to engage the world with better ideas. And they can make a little money on it. We used to charge $25 to spray, curb glow on it, and it took us 10 minutes. We were making a fortune. So if we engage the kids in the adult stupidity, we'll really get things done.
Thank you very much for your comments, sir. Rich will probably take that into consideration.
Yeah.
Museum?
No report on the museum, other than the fact that the local Rotaries met at the museum. It was last month. And it was a good opportunity for those people to get to see what the museum was like and hopefully be able to support that by word of mouth, if nothing else. So it was a step in the right direction. Thank you for being here.
Police? Chief McGrath here?
No.
Any police officers? For the month of January 2013, under Chief James McGrath, total arrests were 6. Total miles patrolled, 8,267. Total calls handled were 185. The police report is up front if anybody is interested in further information on that. Phoenicia Water, I'm afraid Alfred Peavy is in Vermont cross-country skiing tonight, so he's not going to be here, so there's no report. The Phoenicia Water District will meet the third Wednesday of Phoenicia, I'm sorry, third Wednesday of the month at Phoenicia, at the Phoenicia Library. Pine Hill Water?
No report.
Okay. Recreation?
Heather was in the so she's not here.
She okay?
She's all right.
Marty?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Heather had an automobile accident, not here. She's okay. Her car's not so good. We had to cancel our regular January meeting due to weather. So we're meeting on February 6th. And we were in the process of putting together a draft of the 10-year comprehensive plan, which we hope to be able to present to the town board for comment next month.
Thank you, Mark. We'll have public comments on resolutions, and I'd like to go through all the resolutions prior to 5813. If anybody has any comments on any other resolution from 5813. Sorry. 5013 to 5713. Any public comment on any of those resolutions? Jerry, comment from
Yeah, but I
Ross
just wanted to
Stanley?
say one thing about the surveys.
Sure.
Our office mailed out the surveys last month. You should have gotten envelopes at Postal Patron. And inside was a list of all kinds of information for the town to give you information where to go, what to do in an emergency, and also a little survey to fill out so we can learn who at risk in our neighborhoods that are at risk during an emergency. And we got an overwhelming response. So we're really grateful everybody took an interest in this. If you didn't get one, call the town clerk's office. We'll get one to you. They're on their website and our Facebook page. The good news is that more people volunteer to help than actually need help. So it's really nice to see that in town. So those are on the website if you want to get them. And you want me to read this?
Yes.
Okay. Rob sent me an email to read before we have the public comment on the gun control resolution. My sincerest apologies for not being able to make tonight's meeting. I know many of you are here to discuss the resolution in support of the Second Amendment. I appreciate many of the concerns raised by our friends and neighbors pertaining to the latest firearms regulations being proposed and implemented following the tragedy in Sandy Hook, Connecticut. There are a lot of details that are being debated, but ultimately, let us all remember that no one here tonight is in favor of deregulating gun controls, nor is anyone looking to take guns away from responsible, law-abiding sportsmen and women that live in and frequent our area. My feeling, as I've expressed to some of you, is that resolutions of this nature pertain to a larger populace and are better debated by our higher elected officials and representatives.
I disagree.
Tonight, excuse me.
I disagree.
Excuse me, I'm reading a letter. Tonight's resolution for me is broad in its statement, and I have expressed that to the members of the town board. My fear is that resolutions similar to this may over time supersede the importance of our duty at hand of directly participating in operations of the town. Resolutions of this nature tend to be volatile in nature and emotionally charged, knowing that ultimately it is well beyond the purview of the town board. We have worked hard these past few years to openly and respectfully discuss many issues to where we as a community body can come to the right collective position. I have asked that the town board members table this resolution, but knowing that many of you have come tonight to discuss this, I've asked that the board still allow for comments, adding that emails received by our board be read into the record. Ultimately, tonight the sitting board has the right to discuss, table, or vote on this resolution. I have every faith in Deputy Supervisor Bernstein and the board to allow for respectful conversation of this matter and sincerely consider the consequences of any decision made tonight. Please always remember that we walked into this building as neighbors and friends, and through polite discussion we will leave the same. Best regards, Robert A. Stanley, Supervisor.
Yes. I'm going to read the emails that the town clerk received. I'm going to ask first if the person's in the room who sent these. They're going to stand up and speak. There's no sense in me reading the whole thing if they're going to stand up and say pretty much the same thing. So, is Mona Jacobs here?
No, they're in Florida.
Okay. The Shandaken Town Board has come to our attention that the Shandaken Town Board will consider a resolution at their monthly meeting, Monday, February 4th at 7 p.m. in support of the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. The Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. From a correct grammatical reading, which the framers no doubt knew, the sentence structure of the Second Amendment binds the right to keep and bear arms to service in the militia and regulation. The board's contention that the regulation is beyond lawful legislative authority granted to our state representatives is clearly refuted by the framers' inclusion of the phrases well-regulated militia and security of a free state. Regulations of firearms by the states for the defense of the state is crucial to the intent. As to the contention that there is no documented correlation between gun control measures and crime reduction, the U.S. has the highest gun ownership rate in the world, an average of 88 per 100 people. England and Wales, by comparison, have an average of 6.2 per 100 people. 31,347 Americans were killed by guns in 2009, while the 208 figure for the UK is 39. While it's true that statistics like these don't prove direct casualty, they most certainly do represent a correlation. Jeffrey R. Stone, the Edward H. Levi Distinguishing Service Professor of Law at the University of Chicago, recently wrote, in 2008, the U.S. Supreme Court held that the Second Amendment, which provides a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. Guarantees an individual's right to have a functional firearm in a home for self-defense. The court's decision in that case, District of Columbia versus Heller, struck down a D.C. law that effectively barred the use of any firearm for self-defense. The law is now clear that the government may not completely disarm law-abiding responsible citizens.